pressure. If you cut off the shoot of a plant, the water pushes out from the root stump. This is due to root pressure. Now if you take a plant, roots are there. Okay, this is the stem, leaves. Okay, now for example, you cut the plant here. Okay, as soon as you cut the plant, for some time you will be able to see from this part water gushing out. You will be able to experience that the water is coming out, little at least. Okay, so that is due to this root pressure. The root is continuously absorbing water. Okay, so even if you cut it also, for a few seconds you will be able to see little amount of water gushing out. So that is due to root pressure. Okay, root pressure is built up due to cell osmosis in the root tissue. As one turgid cell presses the next cell, the force of the flow of water increases inside. Now when we see the cells inside, one cell will be close to the next cell. Yes or no? Okay. Now for example, if this is the cell of the root hair, clear? Okay. So as the water is being absorbed here, now this cell became turgid. Okay, so because of that pressure, that force, that water is pushed to the next cell. Okay, through osmosis. Now this cell became turgid. Now from here there is a force to send the water inward to the next cell. So like that the cell to cell osmosis occurs inside in the root tissues. Clear? Root pressure is built up due to cell osmosis in the root tissue. As one turgid cell presses the next cell, the force of the flow of water increases inside. So from one cell to other cell, there is a force of water. Okay. When water reaches the xylem vessels, centrally placed vertical channels, it enters the pores of their thick walls with considerable force. So as from one cell to the other, as it moves on, it reaches into the xylem vessels. So the xylem vessels only should take the water to all the different parts. Yes or no? Which tissue helps in water transportation? Xylem. Okay, so from the root hair, it goes from one cell to the other and it reaches the xylem vessels. Okay. Thus the root pressure is one of the forces to raise water up through the stem into the leaves. So because there is root pressure, because there is a pressure from the root to absorb more and more amount of water, so that is why here water is moving from one cell to the other, reaching the xylem. From the xylem of the root, it is going into the stem, and from there it is going into the leaves. Yes or no? So root pressure is one of the reasons. It is not telling that it is only the main reason, but it is one of the main reason for the water transportation towards the stem and the leaves. Clear? But this force alone cannot push the water up to the top of the tall tree. For short stems, for short shrubs and herbs and all, this root pressure is enough. But for tall trees, this root pressure alone is not enough to push all the water towards the top of the tree. So what else is helpful, we will learn in the later part of this chapter. So in certain plants like tomato grass, banana or ferns, the root pressure is high enough to force the water all the way through the stem and comes out through the ends of the leaf veins. Okay. You know what is the leaf vein? This is the midrib. These are the veins. Yes or no? So here what is happening? So here in some plants, in certain plants like tomato, grass, banana and all, what is happening? The root pressure is very high. The root pressure is very high. So here what is happening? It is very high enough to force the water all way through the plant. So it goes on continuously supplying water to the stem, leaves and all. So it is not able to withstand all that water. So because of that, what will happen? It will be losing. However, through transpiration it will lose little amount of water. But here it is losing the water simply. We will be able to see that the water is lost from the leaf margin at the veins. Is high enough to force the water all the way through the stem and comes out through the ends of the leaf veins. Okay, as there is lot of root pressure, the water continuously keeps supplying to the stem and leaf, and unable to withstand the water loses from the ends of the leaf veins. Okay, this water appears as tiny drops along the margins or the tips of the leaf, especially in the early mornings. In the early mornings, we will be able to see either on the grass or on the banana leaves and all. At the tips, at the leaf margin, you will be able to see some droplets of water. Here, we think that as if that is some snow, or maybe it had rained or something like that. We feel like that. But it is not so. It is called as guttation. This loss of excessive water. So, it is not losing because that is not a process. Okay, now transpiration is a process. It should occur in the plant. Okay, for cooling effect or whatever it is. Okay, but here it is losing the excess, or the more amount of water is being absorbed by the plant. So that it should lose that excessive water. Okay, so loss of water through the leaf margins. Loss of excessive water through the leaf margins. This process is called as guttation. Next, importance of root hairs and the upward movement of absorbed water and minerals. So, why these root hairs are important and how the water and minerals, the absorbed water and minerals, how they are moving upward, let us see. Absorption of water by the root is by means of root hairs. Yes or no? So, the root hairs only should absorb the water and it should be transported to the other parts of the plant. The root hair contains the cell sap, which has higher concentration of salts as compared to the outside soil water. Okay, so here whatever the root hair is having, whatever the salt concentration what is present in the root hair is more when compared to the surrounding water, when compared to the surrounding soil water. Clear? This different sets of osmosis and the outside water diffuses into the root pressure. That is what we have learnt in osmosis. Okay, the movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so here the water from the soil enters into the root hair. Clear? So next, absorption of water by the root is by means of root hairs. So whatever water is being absorbed, that will be absorbed by the root hairs. A root hair contains cell sap which has a higher concentration of salts as compared to the outside soil water. So as we know that the root hairs what is present, the root hair contains lot of salt concentration inside them when compared to the soil water which is outside. This different sets of osmosis and the outside water diffuses into the root hair. From the cell bearing root hair, water continues to pass to the adjoining cells one after the another to finally enter the xylem vessels. So here what is happening, because the salt concentration in the root hairs is more, the water keeps on diffusing from the soil into the root hairs. So from the root hair there are many cells which are adjoining to one another. So from the root hair the water travels from one cell to another. Rigidity acquired by the cells in the process also helps to push the water upwards through the xylem cells. So as there is turgidity from one cell to the other, what is happening here? The water is moving from one cell to other. Now for example, this root hair is becoming turgid, so it is not able to absorb more water. So the water from this root hair move to the adjoining cells. So in that way it keeps on moving, then it reaches to the xylem vessels. From the xylem vessels, the water moves to the upper regions of the plant. Next we are going to discuss absorption of mineral elements from the soil involves active transport by the cells. What is active transport? We have learned that from the lower concentration to the higher concentration, the molecules are moved with the help of or by using energy. Okay, so already the root hair has some amount of salt concentration, but even though the plant needs more amount of salts and minerals from the soil, so for that, if the salts from the soil need to move into the cell, it should move with the help of energy, using the energy from the plant. Minerals may also be absorbed as ions rather than as salts. So here the minerals, whatever are there, they move into the plant in the form of ions rather than in the form of salts. The dilute solution of water and mineral salts absorbed from the soil by the roots can be used for food manufacture in the leaves only if it can travel up to the highest point of the plant. This upward flow occurs through the xylem. So whatever dilute solution of the water and mineral salts are present, that what is the use of this water and mineral salt? That is used for the food manufacture. Where does the food get manufactured? It gets manufactured in the leaves. So that this water and minerals helps in the food manufactured in the leaves, and that is again brought back to the other parts of the plant through the phloem itself. So next we are going to discuss some experiments on absorption and conduction of water in the plant. So how water is being absorbed and how it is being conducted through the xylem in the plants. In that first experiment is to show that roots absorb water. So in this experiment, what do you take? In the first experiment, you take two test tubes and name it as test tube A and test tube B. In one test tube, take little amount of water and add little amount of oil on top of water. In the same way, in test tube B also take little amount of water, and in that you take a plant along with its roots and place it in test tube B. Okay, and in test tube B also you add little amount of oil. So why do we add oil in this experiment? We add oil in this experiment to prevent evaporation. If we don't pour oil, the water will be evaporated because of the hot temperature. So if the water is getting evaporated, here you won't get the better result, whether if the water is, the level of the water is reduced because of evaporation or because of observation. For that reason, we add a few drops of oil on top of the water surface. So when you leave this experiment, when you leave this setup for a few hours in the same situation, after the few hours when you observe, the level of water in test tube B is reduced. This shows that the water is reduced only because the roots have been continuously absorbing water. Whereas in A there is no change. Why? Because this is a control setup and this is an experimental setup. So here we are conducting this experiment to show water is conducted upwards or transported upwards through the xylem itself. So what are we taking? A medium sized young balsam plant. Balsam plant means a small plant. Okay, a small plant is uprooted, washed and placed in a beaker containing a stain called as eosin solution. Okay, when we learned the first chapter, cells, there we have seen different experiments. Onion. Okay, we have seen the experiment how they have done how they have took the layer of the onion, how they put stain eosin solution. There also we have seen the same solution. Okay. So here we take a small plant along with its roots, okay, and wash it in water, and we place it in a beaker. That beaker should contain water with the eosine solution, okay, which is in pink color. The root should be completely submerged in the solution. So the root should be completely submerged in the solution, and the plant should be present like that. And this we leave it for 3 to 4 hours. Okay, so this plant we leave it for 3 to 4 hours. At the end of this period, after this 3 to 4 hours of period, you take the plant and again wash it clearly with tap water. Okay, then a transverse section of. So after washing it clearly with water, so if any, why do you wash it after? Why do you wash it before the experiment and after the experiment? Before the experiment you wash it. Why? Because roots will have little amount of soil on it. Okay, so that is why you wash it. After the experiment, why do you wash? The outer part of the root also might contain little amount of pink color. Okay, so even if you cut it and see under the microscope, the whole thing will look pink in color. Okay, so that is why you wash it once nicely with the tap water. Then a transverse section of root, stem and leaf will be taken. Okay, so after washing it with water, you take the transverse section, that is very thin section, very thin slice of these 3 parts of the plant, that is root, stem and leaf is taken, made and examined under the microscope. Okay, so when observed under the microscope, the xylem vessels will appear distinct from the rest because they will be stained red in the dye. So when you observe clearly in the microscope, then all the other cells, the xylem vessels will be looking pink in color. Why? Because the water transports or moves or conducts only through xylem vessels. So here only the xylem vessels will be pink or red in color. Clear? Okay, so this is one experiment to show that the water conducts or transport only through xylem vessels. Okay, so vascular bundles in the stem, root, leaf stalks and leaf veins are all continuous. That is, there are no breaks here. After root there is no break. After stem there is no break. So all these 3 are continuous. Okay, all these 3 are continuous. Everything, root, stem, leaf. Everything there is a continuous and forms an unbroken system of tubes. So all the xylem, when we have seen the different parts of xylem, we have seen there are tubes. So through which the xylem tubes we have seen. Okay, how they transport the water through these tubes. Okay, so it is a continuous process. Collectively they form the transport system through the entire plant. So collectively the xylem tubes in the root, the xylem tubes in the stem, the xylem tubes in the leaves, everything forms like a complete or continuous transport system in the entire plant. Water and salts travel upwards mainly in the xylem, and the food substance travel up and down in the phloem. Okay, so the water transports through the xylem, water and salts transport through the xylem, whereas the food transports through the phloem. Okay, clear? Delicate experiment should do it very carefully. So what are they telling? Take 2 leafy shoots such as those of a balsam plant which have been cut under the water to prevent any air bubbles getting in. So here you have to take a balsam plant and take off the root parts. Still now what we have seen in experiment number 1 and experiment number 2, we have seen that we have to take it with the roots. Yes or no? But here you are taking it without only the leafy shoot. the stem part and the leaves you are taking it. But where you have to cut it? When it is present inside the water. So that if you cut it out and when you place it inside, there might be some air bubbles which enter inside, which will not give a good result in the experiment. Okay, so that is why you have to cut the shoot when it is present inside the water. You take a balsam plant only, but what we have to do, we have to cut the roots of it. Take a leafy shoot and cut it. Where we have to cut it? We have to cut it in water. Why should we cut it in water? To prevent the entry of air bubbles. Clear? Keep their lower ends dipping in water. Okay. Remove about 3 centimeters long outer ring, that is the phloem of the stem, in one of them as shown in beaker A. So in beaker A, what do you take? You take a leafy shoot which is placed in water. Okay. So just 3 centimeters above from that, what do you take? You remove the outer part. That is the outer covering of the stem, you take it out. So that is the phloem. Clear? Remove about 3 centimeters long the outer ring of the stem in one of them as shown in beaker A. So just see in beaker A how the outer ring is being removed. Okay? Keeping the central part intact, this ringing experiment is called as girdling. So the removing of phloem is called as girdling. This process is called as girdling. Okay? In other beaker B, remove an equal length of the central part, that is the xylem, after incising the stem with full thickness and keeping the peripheral part intact. So in the second beaker also take same amount of water, same kind of leafy shoot you take. Okay, but here what do? Here you keep the phloem, but you remove the inner part of it. Okay, so the inner part of it will be removed. So in the picture you will be able to see clearly. Okay, the phloem is left but the xylem is removed. Clear? The shoots are then fixed to the stands and are allowed to remain for about 2 days with their lower ends immersed in water. So this setup you leave it like that for 2 days. Okay, leave it for 2 days. Then it will be found that the leaves of the first twig remain turgid and stand out almost normally. So after 2 days, when you observe what happens, the leaves in beaker A are normal in their turgid condition itself. They are normal in their turgid condition itself, but those in second twig get wilted and droop down. But in the second twig what happens? The leaves are not straight and turgid. They are drooping down. They wilted. They wilted means if you don't pour water, how the leaves become. Okay, so they wilted and they are drooped down. Okay, so the experiment proves that the water is conducted upward in the plant through the deeper part called as the xylem only. So from this experiment what are we able to conclude? That the water is transported only through xylem but not through other cells. Here also the stem is being connected here through this phloem. If the water wants, maybe it can go through this phloem and go, but it is not the connection. The water should travel only through xylem. Clear? Doing this experiment to show that food from the leaves is conducted downwards through phloem in the stem. So in the before experiment we have shown that conduction of water occurs only through xylem. Here we are showing that conduction of food substances. The food occurs only through phloem. Okay. Cut a ring round the stem of a healthy potted plant or around a thin twig of a guava or any other tree deep enough to penetrate the phloem. So here phloem and cambium but not the xylem. Okay, so in the before experiment also I have told you that if you cut out the xylem part, phloem part of it, that process is called as girdling. Okay, so here what do? You take a potted plant. Okay, you take a potted plant. Okay, so just above the potted above the pot, just what do? You do this girdling process. That is, you remove little amount of phloem and the cambium. Cambium is little, the outer hard wood kind of structure what is present, that you remove first. And the inner cambium means the soft part of it. Okay, when you observe the stem or a branch, you will be able to understand. Okay, cut margin of the stem, showing thereby that sap is sap in the peripheral parts flows in the downward direction. So once if you remove this phloem part, you will be able to see the sap oozing out. Okay, so if you cut like this, okay, you have removed the phloem here. Okay, you have removed the phloem here. So as you cut the part, now this is the phloem part. Okay, this is the phloem part. So you will be able to see little amount of sap oozing out from here. Why? Because this is the part where the food substances are being transported from the upper regions of the plant to the lower regions of the plant. Okay, before how we have seen when you take a plant and you cut it, you will be able to see that little amount of water gushes here. Why? Because there is root pressure. Okay, in the same way here also when you take away the phloem, little amount of sap oozes out here. Why? Because there is continuous downward transportation of food substances. It will be observed that the part of the stem above the ring has grown in diameter and the stem below the girdle has stopped growing and may even die when the stored organic contents of the lower part are exhausted. So this experiment you have to do for some weeks. Okay, so after some weeks when you observe here what happened, the above part here, above the girdle what you have seen, that will be little swollen. That part will be little swollen. Okay, whereas the part of the stem which is below the girdle, it becomes exhausted. Exhausted in the sense it becomes dry. It stops growing, it becomes dry and sometimes even die also. When it will die? Because there will be some stored contents, stored organic contents inside. If that is completely exhausted, if that is completely finished, now it is not getting the food substances from the above. Why? Because that phloem is removed. Okay, so for example now how do you get energy? Because you eat something. If you don't eat for 1 or 2 days, whatever energy is saved in your body will be finished, will be exhausted, will be used. Okay, after that you start feeling weak. Yes or no? So in the same way here also, because there is no flow of food substance through the phloem, whatever food was present here, that is used in those few weeks. After that it stops growing, it becomes dry and sometimes it might die also. Clear? Okay, the fresh healthy condition of the leaves in this experiment also proves that. But if you see the leaves here, the leaves are very healthy. The leaves are very healthy. Why the leaves are very healthy? That because that the leaves continue to get a supply of water through the deeper located xylem. Here xylem is still present. Okay, xylem is still present. So from the root it is getting the water. So that is why the leaves are very healthy. But this part became weak. Why? Because there is no transportation of food through the phloem. When we have discussed about root pressure, I have told you that root pressure is one of the cause for the upward movement of water, one of the reason. But there are other reasons or other causes also for the upward movement of water. First forces contributing to ascent of sap. There are four main forces which contribute to the upward movement or the ascent of sap. In that, first one is root pressure. Root pressure builds up sufficient force to push the sap in the xylem vessels up to a certain height and may be enough for herbaceous plant. So here what happens, as I have told you, the root hair contains the salt concentration, and as the water from the surrounding level, it moves into the cell. From one cell to the other cell, the water keeps on transferring. So that is why, because the roots continuously keeps on absorbing water. So this root pressure helps in the upward movement of water. That is the ascent of sap. That too for what? That too in herbaceous plants. So that root pressure is enough for the herbaceous plant, that is the small plants, the herbs. Okay. The second reason is capillarity, that is narrow diameter of xylem vessels causes the water from a lower level to rise to fill up the vacuum created by the loss of water due to transpiration from the leaves. So here is what capillarity. Capillarity means the diameter of the xylem vessels are very narrow. Okay, so when we have discussed about the xylem tissue and we have seen about the different cells in the xylem. In that we have seen how the tubes are present, which helps in the flow of water, the upward flow of water. So the xylem tubes are very narrow. The diameter of the xylem tubes are very narrow, that it helps the water to move up. So once if the gap is, for example, now this is the part of a leaf, and this part of water is being evaporated or being transpiration occurred and the water is lost. So this gap will be filled with the water which is present in the rest part of the xylem vessel. So this narrow diameter helps to keep that water content always in the xylem vessels. Narrower the diameter of the tube, greater will be the height of water rising in it, exerting a force which is called as the capillary force. So because here the diameter of the xylem vessels are very narrow, it keeps on exerting pressure to fill up that vacuum, so to fill up that gaps. So that force, because it is exerting a force to fill up those gaps, that is known as a capillary force. The third reason is transpirational pull. So as whenever the transpiration occurs from the leaves, there is a force to fill up that gap. So there is a force for the roots also to absorb the water. So as the water is lost from the leaf surface by transpiration, more water molecules are pulled due to the tendency of the water molecules to remain joined. This is called as cohesion, and thus to produce a continuous column of water through the stem. So for example, if we take a leaf, so the transpiration occurs through leaves. Okay, so if you take a leaf, and if we observe, these are the veins. So what is happening here? So all the water molecules are present, so they are joined to one another. The water molecules what are present either in the stem or in the leaf, petiole, veins or whatever, each water molecule is joined to one another. Now for example, if from this part of the leaf water is being transpired or through transpiration water is lost, now this part of the leaf should be filled again with water. So all these water molecules move to this gap and fill up these. So the water molecules are not separate, they are joined together. So this is called as cohesion. So thus it produces a continuous column of water through the stem. So when we have learned the experiment, and we have seen one experiment also, there we have seen that they told to cut the stem when it is present inside the water. So why did they tell to cut it inside the water? So that there won't be any air bubble. Once if the air bubble is entered, there won't be a continuous flow of water. Okay, so that is why they have told you to cut the stem inside the water to keep that continuous flow of water molecules. Siju? Third point full ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ അതിലുള്ളത് കട്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ join like this. Okay, now the water molecules from here are lost. Now the water molecules have moved to this part. Why? Because the water molecules are lost from this part of the leaf. Okay, so all the water molecules move. Why? Because each water molecule is joined to one another. That is called as cohesion. Clear? And thus it produces that continuous column of water through the xylem. Okay, so when we have seen the experiment number 3, there they have told you that you have to cut the shoot only in water. Okay, so why they told you to cut it only in water? If you remove it from the beaker and cut, there will be air bubbles entering in. Then the water molecules, there won't be any continuous flow of water molecules once if a gap is formed. Okay. Clear? So the water molecules, they are joined, they remain joined to one another, and as the transpiration occurs, the water molecules keep that joining together. They do not become separate. They keep that joining together and they move to that vacuum spaces. In that way they fill up the gaps. Clear? So that is called as transpirational pull. So because of transpiration, the remaining water are being pulled to that gaps there. Clear? Yes or no? Next one. Next one, adhesion. It causes the water to stick to the surface of the cells, thus drawing more water molecules from below when the leaf cells lose water during transpiration. This pulling force or suction force provided by the leaves is specially important in tall trees. Now from one cell to another cell, I told you the water keeps on moving. Yes or no? So some amount of water will be stuck onto the surface of the cell. Okay, some amount of water will be stuck onto the surface of the cell. Okay, so that helps in absorbing the water whenever the water is lost through transpiration. Okay, so this adhesion causes the water to stick to the surface of the cells, thus drawing more and more amount of water. Now for example, now from this cell the water is moving to the next cell. If all the water moves to the next cell, this cell becomes flaccid. So it becomes completely flaccid. Okay, so it is not completely becoming flaccid, it is leaving little amount of water in it. That is, it is leaving little amount of water to the surfaces of the cells. Clear? So this is called as adhesion. So this pulling force provided by the leaves is specially important in tall trees such as pines, which do not have enough root pressure. So those pine trees and all which grow on the mountains and all will not have more amount of root pressure. So because this adhesion is present, each cell is having at least little amount of water in them, which helps in this suction force. That is, it keeps on pulling the water towards itself. Clear? Downward movement of sap is relatively simple. The food manufactured in the leaves is dissolved in the water and it flows down mainly on account of the force of gravity. So still in this full chapter we have learned how the roots keep on absorbing water and how it moves up. Something which goes up should come down again, that is the force of gravity. Yes or no? But here the water is moving up and up, even how much tall the plants are or trees are also, it keeps on moving up. So these are the different reasons why it keeps on moving up. Okay, root pressure, capillarity, cohesion, adhesion, transpirational pull. Okay, so these are the reasons. Clear? So now how is this downward movement of sap? Sap means the food which is being manufactured in the leaf, how it is moving down. So it moves down through the phloem cells only because it doesn't have any other mechanism, but that is only because of force of gravity. Clear? Water up and up, molecule by molecule. All the water inside the coconuts comes from the ground. So inside the coconut the water is present. Okay, so that is also coming from the ground. As one molecule of the water evaporates from the leaves during transpiration, another molecule rises up to fill its place. So that is what we have seen, filling up the gap. Okay, one molecule from the leaf is lost because of transpiration, the other molecules goes and takes up that place. Okay, rises and fills its place, and this goes on in succession throughout the tall stem right from the roots. The secret lies in the force of cohesion. So because there is cohesion, what is cohesion? I told you, that is one water molecule is joined to another water molecule. So because this cohesion is present only, the water is being transported through all the even in the tall trees also. Okay. Just go through the whole chapter. So we have completed this chapter also. If you don't read, again it will be difficult for you when you read for exams. Okay, so just go through both the lessons, lesson number 4 and human evolution also. Okay, if any doubts are there,